All right, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It is me, Dr. Donna. Welcome to your morning mental workout for today. You will need to have note-taking materials today, as well as a second device, so that you can read the letters from Louise today during our cognition portion of this live. It's about 34 minutes of me going over the information, and then the back half of the live is you participating and understanding what it is that you need in order for your brain to grow and create neuroplasticity. And with this new, here we go. And probably got to make some adjustments to my chair. All right, so on your own, you're going to go ahead and inhale and exhale 3 times, starting now. Go ahead and get the semantics out of the way. We're going to review neurogenesis, neuroplasticity, and neuropability and how we got here. Today's topic is Go for the Gold. It is one of the 74 principles of real leadership, and it is under the effective section if you have my book, Real Leaders Wear Pink. So neurogenesis, what is it? It's the creation of new neurons. And there are many ways that you can do this here. In order to have neuropability, you need to be able to challenge yourself, learn new skills, and have a mentally enriched and physically enriched environment in order for those new neurons to survive and thrive. Now, where they can't survive and thrive is over there in Loserville with the unaccountables, because it's toxic, it's a stressful environment, and it induces fear, and all of those things stop you from having neurons that actually flourish, grow, survive, and thrive. Now, neuroplasticity is the brain's ability to wire itself and create new neural pathways. When you combine that with personal accountability, good morning, Lola, what you have is neuropability, which is your brain's ability to wire itself, to hold itself personally accountable using the 74 principles of real leadership, which allows you to create unlimited neural pathways. Finally, we use the executive function of our brain, which is the forebrain, and that is the CEO of the brain. So it tells you what you're going to do. It's running things, it's in charge. So from a personal accountability perspective, you are the CEO of Me Incorporated, and your frontal lobe, the executive function of your brain, is the CEO of your brain. You put those two together, and you got a nice little powerhouse going on. Now, go for the gold. Go for the gold. Go for the gold. We recently had the Olympics, and in my book, I talk about that. Nobody that's going to training for the Olympics and then goes to the Olympics says, I just want the bronze. I've trained for 4 years. I've been training for this my whole life, and it's okay if I get gold, if I get bronze, if I get silver, it's okay. No, they all have the intention of going for the gold because that means best, pristine, creme de la creme across the world. And so today we're going to talk about Go for the Gold and what that means for you. The process that I have been using is breaking down each word in the principle of real leadership and defining it so that you can have a deeper understanding and a deeper meaning. Good morning. A deeper understanding and a deeper meaning for the actual principle. So the first word is go. And go is an attempt or trial at something. An attempt or trial at something. Go. An attempt or trial at something. Next is for. Intended to reach. For. Intended to reach. The word the is used as a function word before a noun. It's used as a function word before a noun. And then the most important word secondarily to go is gold. 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 Gold symbolizes wealth, power, prestige, purity, divinity, and enlightenment. Gold symbolizes wealth, power, prestige, purity, divinity, and enlightenment. And it's often representing luxury, success, and achievement in various cultures and contexts. It's often representing luxury, success, and achievement in various cultures and contexts. Now, I always make a video for the live announcing it on my social media platforms other than YouTube, because YouTube, if you're a subscriber, it will give you a notification. And what I started the video with this morning is one of my favorite shows growing up was Mr. T. I even had the Mr. T action, was the A-Team, Mr. T in particular. I even had the action figures, Mr. T doll. Beautiful. So when I was able to, good morning, Regina. When I was able to, I had a gold chain. So I had a 10-inch, a 14-inch, and a 16-inch chain. So it went boom, boom, boom. I don't have that picture anymore, but I literally had 3 gold chains. That was my Mr. T starter kit. So I had golds, and then I had bangles and bracelets and just all this jewelry, and it just got bigger and bigger and bigger. And I was going for the gold. I'm gonna be like Mr. T. I pity fool with all those necklaces. Then I realized it doesn't match me. It's a little gaudy, a little bit too much for me. Now, I call it Mr. T gaudy. I'm just saying it was too much for me. But if you had to ask me back then in my middle school and high school years, gold meant purchase it, put it around me, just put it on me. I got it. Look at all this gold I got. Back in the day, the rappers used to have those big donkey chains. I forgot what they're called. The ropes with the big giant. And that's a whole nother story for a whole nother day. No more chains around my neck, and gold chains. Give me 1 second. For some reason, what day is it today? Is it Thursday? Okay. Yeah, not quite. People must be on spring break. That's what it is. It's spring break here in Las Vegas. So it's been this way for the month of March with people in college. So that must be what the unaccountables are here doing. So my point is this, that was my definition of gold. And prior to today, I had never looked up the complete definition of gold, because this is that deeper meaning. If you look it up, precious metals, all of this, you find it on a periodic table and everything else. But this was the deeper meaning. And so the words that stuck out most to me was purity, divinity, and enlightenment. When I thought of gold back then, back in the day, I never thought of purity, divinity, and enlightenment. And now that I'm on the other side of having it physically represent myself, I'm on the other side of that. So gold has a different meaning and representation for myself. And everybody thinks luxury. Oh, we had a gold this. We got 24 karat, 10 karat, 18 karat. Look at this gold. Gold, gold, gold. It means luxury. But it also means success, as I alluded to in my book. If you are going to the Olympics, the gold medal represents success. And it also means achievement. So me becoming Dr. Donna is going for the gold because I couldn't read. And now I have 3 degrees. So it means different things in different cultures, in different contexts. And if you are someone who struggles with drugs and addiction and you get to 15 years clean and sober, that's gold for you. Because in that context, it's like, wow, that is really success. You've gone 15 years with no drugs and alcohol or any type of other addictions, no gambling and no looking at stuff on the internet or any of that. It gets to be defined differently. So as you think about gold going forward, what does it represent for you? Is it me looking like Mr. T? Is it currently me in my stage of enlightenment and self-actualization according to Maslow's hierarchy of needs? You have to determine what gold is for you. So is it physical? Is it intangible? Is it something, some big lofty thing that represents success for you? A mansion, a car, a degree, a family? What is gold for you? So start thinking about that right now as we continue to go through this process. So what questions do you have for going for the goal? So it's an attempt at a trial or act of something, and you're going to reach it and you're going to achieve it. And then you get to define what it is. It symbolizes wealth, power, prestige, purity, divinity, and enlightenment. And it often represents luxury, success, and achievements in various cultures and contexts. So what questions do you have about what go for the gold means? I'm not saying that it has to be a medal or a medal at the Olympics, or actually the medal, a precious medal that it actually is. Before my going for the gold was to just be accountable consistently. Yes. And it gets to change. That's the whole point of the story, is that many moons ago in the 80s and the 90s, that it meant something. I used to believe that you had to see it. And now, thank goodness for personal accountability, wisdom, and life experience, you no longer have to see it for me to know that I've gone for the gold. Okay, So what stops you from going for the gold? I'm glad you asked that question, Kevin. I'm going to tell you. Fear. Fear stops you from going for the goal, the physical or the intangible or tangible or intangible fear. It's first thing, soon as you, because gold means, remember, it's luxury, it's success, it's prestige, it's power, it's this divinity, it's this enlightenment. Like, what you doing? Go for the, oh, hold up. So the amygdala is the first one tapping you on your shoulder. Excuse me, what you about to do? No, sit down. Let me make you so, I'm going to turn you into a scaredy cat right now. By the time I finish with you, you're not going to want to get up and go to the kitchen to get a bowl of cereal. Let me tell you why you ain't going to be able to do that shit right there. The economy. If you tell somebody right now, you live in America, I'm getting ready to start a business, first thing they say, tariffs, the economy. You can't, you're like, hold up. People became multimillionaires during the Depression. So do not let that fear come knocking at your mental door. Boom, 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 boom. Who is it? It's fear. And I brought backup. I brought doubt, unbelief, and I got a scaredy cat to boot to sprinkle some more fear on top of that. And I brought your worst enemy, the person who believes in you the least. They here too. That's been talking shit about you your whole life. We here. We about to do an intervention. Because how dare you think you about to go for the goal? When we finish with you, you're going to be in the corner in a fetal position crying, needing a binky. No, you better not try to go for the gold. Next is a lack of technical competence or skill set. You can't count. What you mean you about to start a business? You about to start a business. There are plenty of people I have saved in my TikTok where they were, I want to say 70 and older, and they started doing weight training. They started maybe in their 60s, and now they're 70 and 80 competing, lifting weights. And people told them, what you doing? One lady said, her sister's like, you too old. We ain't never even exercised before. What you out here trying to do? You gonna break something. And so telling you don't have the technical competence to do that, you don't have the skill set, you're too old, you dumb, you is dumb, you're stupid, you're poor, you're black, you're ugly. If you go back to The Color Purple and Mr. telling Celie at that dinner that she can't do anything. So it's a lack of technical competence. So fear shows up, tells you how many skills and technical competence you don't have. How dare you think that you're going to be able to do that? And then you have inferiority complex, what we talked about a couple weeks ago. So you're not going to be able to do. Who is you? Don't nobody know who you are. You a no name. You like worse than the store brand cereal. How you going to do that? So now you have all this doubt and unbelief, this inferiority complex. That ain't shit. How dare you? And then to add that, you got that amazing stuckmily. And that's a Dr. Donna dictionary. Well, that's that family that stays together, stays stuck together. We is family, and we gonna stick together. And now y'all stuck together, and you can't move and go nowhere because y'all all stuck in a rut, and you can't get your butt up. So they're gonna call the matriarch or the patriarch of the family to talk some sense into you. Now, baby, let me tell you something. Now, Pawpaw, Granddaddy, now you know your great granddaddy on my sister's side, say it. And the next thing you know, they have another intervention. So the fear people couldn't do it, knocking you down. The inferiority complex couldn't do it. So they ain't going to pull a whamma bam bam and get your whole stuckmily in the group chat and tell you all the reasons why you can go for the goal. All these unaccountable people who ain't had no accomplishments, so they got very few, they gonna give you all the reasons. And then you're gonna get your Uncle Jerry, the one that's got the money, and say, this is why you're not gonna be able to do that. Now let's talk some sense into you about this. What you mean you're gonna leave that corporate job? What you mean you're gonna sell your house and move to another country? You're gonna travel the world and sell all your shit? There's an older lady, and she lives on a cruise ship. Her and her husband, saw the video on TikTok. Her and her husband used to travel all the time. And he died, and he said, don't stop traveling. She sold all her stuff and literally lives on a cruise ship now. And they showed her room and everything. You don't think some people tried to talk her out of that? You about to sell out? What about the house? Daddy said, and she was having herself the best life ever. And she said it was cheaper to stay on a cruise ship than to actually live on land. So there you have it. But that stuckmily is going to ensure that you never, ever go for the goal. And then finally, and I just made this word this morning, your stins. That's your stuck ass friends. STIENDS. Your stins are going to come along and make sure, if your stuckmily didn't make sure you wasn't going for the goal, they are going to put the nail in your gold coffin to keep you and make sure you stay. What about us? We've been friends since the 5th grade. I knew you since you was knee high to a June bug. Come on now, you gotta stay right here with us. We about to, cause then, and you know you my fourth partner when we play cards, when we go golfing. What we gonna do when it's time for us to go on our trips? Our kids need to grow up together. Remember we said we was gonna be next door neighbors and all this other stuff. So your stins are gonna come and make sure that if the fear didn't get it and everything else, and the stuck Malik didn't do it, the stuck Malik called you and say, hey, Brenda, you got to go and get on over there and talk to Dr. Dennis. It didn't work. So we're going to need you to pull out the 5th grade equations academic game card and tell her, remember, y'all made a promise. Y'all was going to death do us part. Okay? And if that ain't enough, here come all the biases: gender bias, ageism, sexism, and all those other biases, the conformity bias and the confirmation bias and cognitive dissonance. You throw all that together, mix it up, and you ain't never going for the gold, chaos, dramatic ass, fearful stew, and they serving it up by the bowl. That's why you can't go for the gold. That's why by the time everybody you know, every bias you know, everything, every caste system in the world, by the time you just exhausted, you're like, you know what? They're right. I ain't gonna do it. I'm not going for the gold. It's too much. By the time they're ensuring that you stay stuck right there with them. But there was a TikTok sound probably about 8 months ago, said, I don't give a fuck about none of that shit. About none of that shit. I don't care what y'all talking about, because I get to define what gold is for me. I get to determine what gold is. And y'all ain't about to talk me out of my victory. It's not about to happen. So if you gave up on your dreams, if you believe that you couldn't go find gold and there is no more gold rush for you, that's on you and your atrophied ass hijacked amygdala lifestyle. The atrophied brain with a hijacked amygdala and your working memory that's unemployed, you take that shit back to Louisville, because that doesn't apply to me anymore. It never applied to me, but it definitely isn't. So when they do that full court press and they are just trying to run game on you, okay, cool. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And one thing that I used to do back in the day that I learned to do once I put the bat down in the tire iron is I used to say, okay. I used to say, sometimes I might have said, okay. I still said okay, because you can't argue with okay. Try to argue with okay. I say okay. Well, how you? Okay. Done. Moving on. I have nothing else to say. I'm not participating in this conversation. Okay. Okay is just saying okay to what you said. I'm not agreeing with you. I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm not consenting. I am merely saying okay as an acknowledgement of this was said. And then I'm going to move on. Okay, got it. Roger that. Execute about face and move out smartly is what we used to say in the military. No one can stop you from going for the gold but you. They could try, and they could be really good. It could be really uncomfortable and really painful for you, and they could remind you every day. And as you continue to go for the gold, when you're going for some type of success path, it doesn't matter if it's spiritual, physical, financial, mental, emotional, shit gonna pop off. And they're gonna be right there saying these great words. I told you so. You sure you still want to do that? You can't see this falling apart. This looked like a shit show to me. Would you? No, things need to fall apart so you can put them back together again. That's why sometimes things fall apart. They fall apart so you can put them back together again, or you can start over. And so it's okay if it looks like Jenga for a while and it's shaking and it's like, ooh, that's perfectly acceptable, because that's part of the process. That is part growth and learning and trial and error. But one of the 74 principles of real leadership is that failure is not an option and quitters never win. So you're not paying attention to that because you have neuropability. You have the ability to create new neural pathways to give you the skills, to give you the information, to give you everything that you need to succeed, because you are the CEO of your brain, of your life. The executive function of your brain allows you to be able to do everything that you need to do. And who you really are, your personality resides there. So they can try to tell you with all these biases and everything else who they think you need to be. But as long as you stay up here in your frontal lobe, you know exactly who you are. You know exactly who you are. So don't listen to them. I don't listen to people who have not accomplished the thing that I am going after. And at this point, I really can't. The people that I'm paying attention to are dead. I don't have any people living right now that I could go, yeah. So at one point, when I was in the military, I could see Colonel Kendrick. When I was at Frito-Lay, there were people that I could see. But I'm like, ain't nobody holding themselves personally accountable. Let me go to some ancestors and see what happens. So I'm putting it together, building a person besides myself. So don't pay no attention to them. Don't listen to your stands. Don't listen to your stuck beliefs or none of them, because ain't gonna happen. If you try to stay in relationships with them and do it, you are double-minded, you are lukewarm, and it's not going to take place. So what questions do you have about what's stopping you from going for the gold? It's fear, lack of technical competence or skills, inferiority complex, your stuck beliefs, your sins, and the biases and cognitive dissonance. All of that put together is what's stopping you from going for the gold. Do you have questions regarding that? Or what questions do you have? And as we can tell, I'm on the other side of springing forward. So I got a little bit more pep in my step. And then Kevin, I responded to your submission yesterday. So check that out. It's a small tweak. Can you expand upon what you mean by technical competence? Okay, yes, ma'am, I can. Excuse me, damn perimenopause. I tell y'all, I can't stand burping. It get on my nerves, but body's doing what the hell it wants to do at this point. I feel like I'm pregnant again. Just does what it wants to do. Okay, so I'll use myself as an example. And I've used this example before. So I had 2 people doing graphics for me way back. Yes. Okay, great. Way back in 2014, 15, 16, and 17. I had 2 different people doing graphics for me. And I would tell them what I wanted. They would send it back. It wouldn't be what I wanted. I'd make some corrections. We'd go back and forth. It was a slow process because they were using Adobe, which is slow as hell, and Photoshop or some other stuff. Shit used to take forever. And it wasn't working for me. My background is military and it was corporate America. At that time, I could code websites, but I couldn't do graphic design. It was very difficult for me. My brain couldn't process it. Adobe is it's cumbersome, and Photoshop. I was like, it's got to be a simpler way. My mathematical mind says this has to be simpler. And so thank goodness at that point, apps, graphic design apps had started showing up on the scene. And as I showed, I think I showed y'all power on graphics on my graphography page, what I used to do. So I used to take the Snapchat clock, take a picture of bedspread, some pants or something, put it in Instagram with a word, a vignette over it, and that was my graphics. So I didn't have the technical competence to graphically design. I saw it in my head, but I couldn't produce it, and neither could they. So I kept experimenting with the apps that were available at that time. And then finally I got to PixArt, Photolab, Unfold. Canva does it now. I was using Snapchat lenses, Instagram lenses. Now I do UCut. I use KineMaster. Kevin is experimenting with KineMaster as well. And it allowed me, because I was making graphics every day, I built up my technical competence. So my skill set, my ability to be competent in these things that were extremely technical that I had no background in. So that's what I mean by technical competence. So doctors have to develop technical competence through going through medical school. As an educator, when you were doing your student teaching and all of those things, you become very competent in this thing, and it takes techniques to be able to do that. So if you cook, all the different techniques that you need in order to be able to cook. So it's your skill set that you're able to do it. So because I have 5 communication certifications, I'm able to communicate effectively with you all when I'm literally looking at my phone and looking at me talking. Right now, I'm looking at myself pointing, but you all feel as though I am actually communicating and directing everything towards you when all I can see is your profile photos and the questions that you're asking and the comments that you're making. So Please let me know if I've answered or clarified what technical competence is. It's your ability to be competent in the thing that you're actually doing. So there are people who are not technically competent that might be in leadership positions, and so they can't do their job correctly, but they're there. If you've ever had a teacher, an administrator in a position, someone in a position at a religious organization, and you're like, they don't know shit. They don't know a damn thing. You go to the grocery store and the person's like, I'm new, I'm learning. Ooh, what button is it? Hey, can you come over here? They ordered a hamburger. Where is that button at? Okay. So they would be technically incompetent. Right, and I can understand that, but it's actually your skill set, the technique. So if you think of tech and then techniques, so do they have the competence to do their job, whatever it is? If you went to a yoga studio and the yoga instructor just kept y'all in downward dog for a whole hour because they couldn't do any of the other demonstrate or tell you how to do any of the other poses, you'd be like, okay, well, they don't have any technical competence right now. So technique. Are they skilled in the thing that they said they were skilled in? That's why I call people fake experts, because they sound like they know what they're talking about until it's time to demonstrate what it is that they're talking about. And I've said this before. If someone is saying that they did X, Y, and Z, and they can't tell you exactly how they did it, number one, it was a dumbass plan. Number two, they entered into a Faustian bargain. And number three, they full of shit and they're a sycophant, an apple polisher, and a brown noser, and an ass kisser. And that's how they finagled their way to where they are. I literally yesterday, Nola asked me about a basketball anklet support, ankle support, and she said, are you familiar with it? And I said, yeah. I said, I think one of my soldiers on my basketball team had one on. So I went to a photo album to look it up, and she didn't have it on because of where we were in the season, but I can clearly see her right ankle having one on. And so I told Nola, because she's like, well, you coach basketball overseas. She says it all the time. I don't really pay attention to it. And then I'm standing there in my, as she calls it, 90s coaching gear, coaching clothes, next to one of my players. And then she has on the uniform. And then there's other pictures of them as well. So now you know what I'm talking about. So if I said I did it and then I can't tell you we were in a 2-3 zone or a 3-2-3 or 3-1-1 or something like that, then you're like, oh, you don't know what the hell you're talking about. And even we had an appointment last week, and I told Nola somebody was going to question me to see if I was in the military. And she said, no one's ever going to do that. And somebody actually did that at the 7th Avenue couch appointment that we had last week. So it's the ability to be able to say, this is what I did and this is how I did it. And so that's what I use to measure when I'm talking to people and they tell me how they're hot shit. Okay, cool. I got a couple questions for you, hot shit. And again, if there's something that I don't know, I can say that was not my experience, here was. And even when I don't know something, I will go and research it and give it to you and say, here is the information that you're looking for. Okay. Next is, how do you go for the goal? First of all, you got to determine what your goal is. So is it wealth? Is it power? Is it prestige? Is it purity, divinity, enlightenment, or something else? And then what is it representing? Luxury, success, or some other type of achievement. So you get to determine what your goal is. It's totally up to you at this point. My pleasure. It's totally up to you for you to define what goal is for you. Next, you want to determine why you're in pursuit of that goal. And I say this all the time. We got why cards. I used to use them in Toastmasters, and it makes sense. So have a why card available. And so I have these big giant 4x6s now. Why? So gold and why. Gold and why. Because what happens is when shit hits the fan and it gets tough, you 3 months, you 11 years in, you got to remember your why. If you don't have it down while you all hyped and, yep, I'm about to do this. If that is not readily available to you, you will quit. Failure will become an option for you, and you will give up, and you will go back to the stuff and say, yeah, I was on some bullshit. You know what I'm saying? I was tripping out. I knew something. Well, yeah, I ain't gonna worry about that no more. I'm just going ahead and be over here stuck with y'all. What y'all got going on? What's these bonbons? Okay, cool. Y'all watching TV? All right, bet. Y'all want to play some cards? Right. So if you don't have that why readily available to you, when I was in Mary Kay, they told us put it on our mirrors and refrigerators, everywhere you go. Have your vision, your why sitting there. So have it there. So determine what the goal is and determine why you're in pursuit of that goal. And it can't be because I'm going to show these motherfuckers. I used to say that I can show you better than I can tell you. That's not enough. When shit hits the fan, showing a motherfucker is not enough to keep you going. So it's going to have to be deep, deep, deep rooted inside of you. And then the next is, what will it take for you to acquire the gold? So now play that movie out. What is it going to take? When I said I'm going to become Dr. Donna, I wrote a list of 25 when I was in the Army, and get my doctorate was one of the things on the list. And what is it going to take? Well, first you got to pass the entrance exam to get to get in the program. And you, my friend, don't take standardized tests well. So study for the standardized test in order for you to be able to gain entrance. And now it's going to take 66 credit hours and a concept paper, a proposal, and a dissertation, plus the 66 credits, and to be able to defend it. That's how you're going to become Dr. Donna. So are you ready for all of that? What is it going to actually take? And then if you can have that, so what is it? What's my why? And what's it going to take? Now you develop a smart strategy. But if don't skip steps 1, 2, 3 and go straight to a dumbass plan, because then it's not going to work. You're stuck in your stance and going to say, we told you so. So you got to do that upfront work. That doggone prior planning and preparation prevents piss poor performance. So then you develop a smart strategy to acquire the gold. You set interim goals if it's a long-term goal. If it's a long-term goal, you set interim goals. And then when you acquire it, you celebrate your wins. We did that. That's from Frito-Lay. Celebrate your wins. Rah, rah, sis, boom, bah. You did that shit. Okay, great. Awesome job. And then you rinse and repeat. You do it again and again and again and again, because you need to always be growing. You need to be challenging yourself and taking risk. That's why the gold changes. So I have my goal of I'm going to look like Mr. T. And now I'm all the way into enlightenment and planting trees for which shade I will never sit. That's what my goal is currently. Getting more and more and more and more adults globally to start holding themselves personally accountable through neuropability, so we can actually change as a human society, human beings. So we can do that. So again, when you're going for the gold, you got to determine what the gold is, determine why you're in pursuit of the gold. Next, what will it take for you to acquire it? Develop a smart strategy to acquire it. Celebrate the wins once you get it, and rinse and repeat. What questions do you have about how you go for the gold? My poor little nose itching because they're cutting the grass. All right, if you are not already there on the website, go ahead and go to the website. You're going to go to theturnarounddoctor.com, social media, third from the bottom, letters from Louise. And today you will be reading just theturnarounddoctor.com, social media tab, scroll third from the bottom, letters from Louise, and you will be reading just. Once you've completed it, ... and then whatever your takeaways, action items, reflections are from it. Gotta tighten my chair. All right. I missed that. You're going to letters from Louise and you're reading the poem Just. Going to letters from Louise and reading the poem Just. You don't see just. If you go under keep, scroll down, it's under keep. So it's under keep. It's in between keep and I. So it should be money, loyal, keep, just. Do you see it, Regina? Okay. Noah says, like the fact that it rhymes, very poetic, and don't get caught up in the just. Go for it. And go for it is one of the 74 principles of real leadership. Okay. Are you on the web? Did you go to Letters from Louise? Are you on? So did you go to social media on the website and then scroll down on the social media page to Letters from Louise? So you have to be on the website, turnarounddoctor.com, go to social media, the social media page, scroll down on the social media page. Did you click on Letters from Louise on the social media page? And then what happens is when you get to Letters from Louise, you have to scroll up because it's going to be further down. So you have to scroll up. So make this swiping motion. And it will load. Give it a second. It will load. And then you will see it. And Kevin, did you get to it? So did you scroll up? Did you do like this? Okay, I'll send it to you, Regina, because I'm not quite sure. Okay, I'm not quite sure what's happening then for you. Because you should just be able to scroll up. Perhaps you might need to update the app. But I don't know. Yeah, because it should just load. And sometimes it might, did you clear out your, if you go and clear everything off of whatever, if you're using a tablet or a screen, but it should just be able to load again. So let me know after this. Sometimes it does not work, but that's on Medium's end. Perhaps it could be re-updating. Okay, yes. So let me know if you can't get to it after the live, and then I'll send you the link. And then Kevin said I had to look up the meaning of just. I never connected moral and fair to its meaning. Okay, wow. Okay, got it. So the purpose of this this poem was to start with just because and then doesn't mean until you get to the last line. So that was the formatting. So the first and second sentences match and rhyme, and then you move on, and then you move on, and then you move on, because there are a lot of things that happen in life and you don't really pay attention to it. So I wanted to shed some light on those things, and then say just because we say just because people say that together all the time, but it doesn't. So just because something is this doesn't mean that it has to be something else. It's not true. This isn't A plus B equals C. So just because I grew up in Detroit doesn't mean I needed to stay in the hood. That's a perfect example. So the stuck Malays and the stands will literally have you saying, this is how it is. Just because it's this, it doesn't mean it has to stay that way. It doesn't mean what the unaccountables are telling you that it actually means. Okay, follow up from yesterday. What conversations did you have about two people about what you wired? So how did that conversation, your wired conversation, go with people? And remember ... so that I know you're thinking and I'm here and you're here and you didn't bounce out, get kicked out. And while you're doing that, what I will say is definitely start looking up words, because back in the day, if you had your dictionary, that was the definition. You looked it up, that was it. You didn't have the ability to use the internet. And what I like about being able to research or look up a word is that now all of the dictionaries are online. So I will look at Oxford's, Webster's, Merriam, and other meanings, the full meaning of it. And then you have to look at if it's a noun, if it's a verb, if it's an adverb, all of the different contexts of the word. Because you could be thinking about the first meaning and it could be the sixth meaning. And that's what I do with the PAs for today, is I usually pick out the not popular definition of the word, especially as you get into further past 60 days of the PA for today. I definitely am using the definition of the word, because word choice matters. And I say that all the time. Choose your words wisely. And Nola knows that when I hear a word, so she'll show me something and I'll say, what did the client say? And then like one client says specifically in the thing, I specifically said, and she was a problem. And I picked it out by her using specifically. It's like, and I still refer to her as Miss Specifically to this point. And she had to change her tune because she bought the wrong mirrors and it wasn't going right. So then she had to totally specifically understand what we were doing. But word choice actually does matter. It does. It definitely does. So if you think about constructive criticism versus performance focused feedback, in theory, people think they're telling you how to improve. One is true, one is not true. When you start looking up those words, it also increases your own personal lexicon, your own vocabulary. And now you have these words that you are using because it's just naturally part of your communication, your ability to communicate effectively, and doesn't have anything with you trying to showboat and show off how many 4, 5, 6 syllable words you know how to pronounce. Because even people that have these advanced vocabularies, when it's time to communicate effectively, they can't bring those words down to be able to explain it to a different group of people that aren't necessarily in your industry. And that's what I find myself experiencing when I'm studying these neuroscientists, is they are used to talking to their peers in their industry. And so even when they think they've brought it down so that a layperson can understand it, not so much. That's why it takes me so long to understand the concept, because I got to go look on different platforms, research it, look it up, look for articles and everything else. Especially yesterday when we were talking about how neuroplasticity and the synapse and the LTP and all that. I was several days on understanding that process. So what was your conversation yesterday about being wired? Ba-dum-bum-bum-bum. No, I talked about how I have wired my brain to see plays. I didn't understand it before, but can track parallels between sports. And now I understand how the different points impact movements. Yes, we had that conversation. How you run the screens and zones and all of that. So my thing that I'm currently focused on is my wiring to the unaccountable people's I gotta participate in a bullshit. I know, like what is that? I don't like that I didn't get a choice and I gotta just keep participating in y'all stuff. Like, keep that shit over there. Like, I'm making those neural pathways so that they're not being used anymore. And every time, like, I don't like the fact that how hard I have to work to get neural anything in my feed and how quickly the algorithm kicks it out of my feed. I can get it all good in the morning, and by the evening, payola and everything else has pushed everything that I want to see out. And even on Instagram's Discover page or whatever it's called, Explore page, I will have neural pathway, all this, and then I'll have some celebrity dancing at something in the middle of it. And I'm like, I don't follow them. I don't look up their stories. Why do I see them? That Jennifer Hudson's when they coming down the thing at the Emmys, the Oscars, the Grammys, all that stuff that just happened, it will literally be sprinkled in throughout that. And I'm saying I didn't search it. I'm not following any celebrities. How did this get? And even on my feed. And so I'm really just like, why do y'all need a host? Why can't y'all keep that shit over there? Why does everybody need to see this thing, regardless if we search for it or not? And I don't search for it. And even on Google, I have my Google set up on my phone and my tablet that it doesn't track my history. So when I go out and go back in, what I just searched isn't even there anymore. So I work really, really hard to keep them away from me. And they like an ex that just won't fucking go away. I'm trying to get a restraining order against y'all. Here y'all come. Okay. They looked at me like they were trying to decide if I was if I was AI generated. Oh, oh my goodness. One said, "You up to something?" I told them I'm getting to best. They looked at you like you was AI generated. Oh my goodness, I'm up to something. Okay. Oh my goodness. I told them I'm going to, okay, hello, Tyler from Pakistan. I told them I'm getting to best. Well, kudos to you for that, Kevin. As Nola had the fortune to be able to tell the crazy person that developed all of this. So I didn't think she was insane. I think it's amazing to watch her brain not watch her brain. You didn't have that conversation. Okay, well, you got to have that conversation today. You were driving your friend to the appointment, I think, at that time. So you need to have that conversation today. So the conversation is you're having a conversation with someone about how you're wiring your brain. And the reason why you're doing that is so that when you start to hold them personally accountable, you can say, remember when I had that conversation with you about me wiring my brain? So you're talking about neurogenesis, neuroplasticity, and neuropability. So then when you start holding them personally accountable, it won't be a shock to their system. So if you start moving and acting different, they were like, you acting funny. No, I've rewired my brain. So watching Nola's brain or her actions, because I can't physically see her brain, and just her vocabulary is increasing. She's drawing all these different conclusions that she was not drawing before. And so it's definitely interesting to actually see that, because I read it from the students who send their things in and the reflections and revelations that you have. But to actually watch it unfold is actually quite interesting, especially since she has ADD and ADHD with no meds. Like, it definitely is most assuredly possible to work around all those, the high GABAs and everything else, and anxiety and all of that. You definitely can be the CEO, use the executive function in a way that it was designed so that you can change the minds of everything else. So let me ask you this, Kevin, one follow-up question. How did you feel telling them about it? So what were your feelings about that? And then while Kevin is typing that, today's real leader principle is to go for the gold. So if you're already in pursuit of your gold, just review it. Make sure that you have what it is, why you're doing it. You're basically, what is it going to take to get to it? Review your strategy, and then assess where you currently are on that glide path. So where are you if you already have it? And if you don't have it, today is the day to set one up. But if it's already there, you're just checking maintenance to maintain, to ensure that it's, you still have that same reason. The why is still the same. The objective of how to get there, the system is still the same, because things change. You think apps and every software, everything updates. Something could have updated, which could impact what it is that you're doing. And then just check to see where you are on that glide path, basically, is what they say. And if you're finished with a gold, then it's time to rinse and repeat and go for the next one. So go for the gold today. Work on assessing your current gold, and if not, start setting up the process for your new gold. And remember, it's determining what it is, determining why you're doing it, what will it take, develop the strategies to do it, celebrate the wins, and rinse and repeat. And then finally, what did you learn today? So Kevin, you're answering, how did you feel talking to those people about it? And then what did you learn? And then for Regina and Nola, what did you learn today? And for the other people who are on here, what did you learn today? Looking and look. And if you're watching on the replay, no matter what time or year it is, what did you learn? And as I mentioned again, it's very challenging to keep unaccountable people at bay, because as Linda said, they need a host. They need you in order for their unaccountability-ness to function properly. They need a plug. They need to connect, if we're using street terms. And we are our own supplier of everything that we need. And I don't see dots from you all that are answering. So Kevin is saying, all right. And Regina is saying, I learned that I need to recognize that some of my people aren't going to change and have to leave them where they are. Leave them where they be. Leave them where they be. And what you're feeling, Regina, and I could be wrong, and I'm okay if I am incorrect. I'm just basing it upon me exiting stage left, or telling them to exit stage left. What you're feeling is them wanting you to stay because they need a host. So if you leave, then their narrative changes. And now what will they do? Because they're not plugged into you. And so I felt this, especially severing the relationship with my mother. It's like, who is she if she's not bragging about something that myself or Nola was doing, or berating me in person, being sick, needing me to do things for her? What does her life become if I'm not there anymore? Since I've been rescuing her from herself since I was 11 years old, what does that look like? So it's not necessarily that they want you there for you and your benefit. They want you there for them, for their benefit. And if you let go of that, then you're going to be okay. It's not that they want you there because it's you. They want you there for them because of what you're bringing to the party. So they're not changing because they're definitely not, they don't want to change, and they don't want you to change either. You have to, and that's why I left, because I got to be Dee Dee. Even though they started calling me Dr. Donna, I still am Dee Dee, reliable, dependable, gonna call you and lift you up. And my mother used to call me and ask me, put your turban on. That's what she called it, because I'm kind of clairvoyant. So she would call me and say, put your turban on. Why is this? And I would say it. Then she'd get off the phone with me and get on the phone calling everybody else. Dr. Donna said, so it was really more like comfort. So think of Linus and his blanket, that you're their binky. So they can come to you for everything, money, information, emergency contact, and everything else. And they don't, and because, and one thing that, and I'm gonna read what you said, Kevin. So one thing when I was in the military, they said, always get promoted en route before you PCS. Because if you show up, and so I went to Fort Campbell as Captain Thomas, and my battle buddy Justin was, because he was a different year group than me, he went there as a first lieutenant. So when he became a captain, everybody still remembered that he got there as a first lieutenant, but they remembered me as Captain Thomas because I got there as Captain Thomas. So how people meet you is how they're going to treat you. So whatever your initial contact was with all those people, that's how you're being treated. And for them, it's not going to change. They're going to always see you as Regina, whatever year y'all met. Because they still see themselves as the year that they met as well, as y'all met. So they haven't changed and you have, and that's why it's not working. Okay, Kevin, you said, I felt great. Awesome. I felt comfortable and confident. I felt I was in my purpose, and I felt like being connected to you is the life cheat mode. They need the code. Learned, you can't argue with, okay. Yeah, so hopefully that will give you some solace as you continue to do this, because that was the hardest relationship I had to end, was that 48-year, 360-day relationship with my mother. And how do I know that it was less than 5 days? It cut, leap years in there, but just for math's sake, because it was 5 days. It was Cinco de Mayo, 2022. 5 days before my 49th birthday, when I finally put my foot down and some other stuff. But anyway, this line is not secure. So we're just going to say I put my foot down and didn't pick it back up. What I learned was you go for the gold will change over time. Yes, it will change over time. So basically what I'm saying is the unaccountables need you. Okay? The unaccountables need you. Everybody on this live, the unaccountables need you. You do not need them. What you need is Neuropability and the 74 principles of real leadership, and you could be a bad mofo. You don't need them. I know you might think you do, but you don't. Having severed all of those relationships and working really hard to not see them at all in my feed on none of my social media platforms, you actually don't need them. You don't. Because they are unaccountable. So you're not going to, they say, yeah, I'm gonna be over there at 6. Yeah, I got you. Nothing. When I got ready to leave out of the military, I had a conference call with my mother and both of my uncles. One is a prominent lawyer in Detroit. The other one worked across the street in the probation building, and he was a probation supervisor. At that time, I had a master's degree in criminal justice and a bachelor's in politics and government. And I called them and I said, I'm getting ready to get out the Army. Are y'all gonna be able to give me a work? Oh yeah, come on home. We got you, no problem. We'll get you a job, no problem. Well, I didn't like the way that sounded, so I went on ahead, found me a headhunter, went on plenty of job interviews, ended up at Frito-Lay. I was like, nah, I'm not trusting that. Y'all gonna have me sit somewhere being a clerk somewhere or something. I'm not doing all of that. So didn't work. Unaccountable people. And then when I became Dr. Donna and did all of that, now people be like, and I even ran into one of my uncle's friends at breakfast when I moved back to Detroit, one of his homies from college, and his name was Curtis. And he saw me and he said, I said, hey, Curtis, how you doing? He was like, Dee Dee. I said, well, it's Dr. Donna now. But he said, oh my goodness, look at you. I'm glammed all up and everything. He's like, wow, look at you. Your uncle didn't even tell me you were back. Really? I've been back for quite some time, Curtis. We wonder why that is. Because I passed Uncle Jerry. So you don't need no unaccountable people in your life. You don't. Because as soon as you start doing something amazing past what they think you should be doing, the hater shade and the hate tape and all that is going to show up. So we don't need them. They need us because we have neurogenesis, neuroplasticity, and neuropability to be able to use our minds to get whatever resources that we need in order to make things happen. And they can't make things happen because they are neurologically inept. They lived in a hijacked amygdala state between all the biases and everything else. They need you. And that's where that feeling is coming from. So if they need to make you feel bad, feel low, feel superior, feel inferior, whatever they got to do to keep you stuck in a rut, that's why they have to go. We do not need unaccountable people. It's there. Think of them as an appendix. You get ready to have an appendectomy. You're not like, and shit, no, I ain't got no appendix. Oh my goodness, my appendix is gone. I can't process food. It's like wisdom teeth. We don't need them no more. We don't need. Go ahead and take these motherfuckers out. I don't need them. You can have them. And nobody be like, man, see. And so since I don't have an appendix, I can't think straight. I can't, you know what I'm saying? I can't walk on my left side, my right side. No, they are useless. They are absolutely useless for all the energy and everything that they take away. You not getting no return on your investment. That's a bad investment. That's a junk bond. Those are penny stocks over there. You might as well be at the penny slot machine in Las Vegas thinking you about to hit because it's not gonna work. It's not gonna work. So you go for the gold, and they going for the food in the refrigerator. I said it all the time. They go from the couch to the kitchen. They go from the couch to the kitchen, to the restaurant, and back home. Especially if they're a remote worker or they're retired. So no, absolutely not. You don't need unaccountable people. They got you thinking they do. They got you fooled for real, and you think you do. But I'm telling you, take some of your personal time today and really think about the unaccountables that have access to you and ask yourself, play that movie out. What would happen if I never got in contact with them again? What would change in your life? And you'd miss nothing. You'd get more energy, more time, more effort, more money back, and more neural pathways because you cut those off. And you wouldn't have to keep rewiring. Your phone shows up, Kevin, your aunt texted you, and now you're like, automatically. And automatically that neural pathway is wired to auntie. There you go. That's why nobody got my phone number. I don't have that problem no more. Okay, so in summary, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your time today. Go for the gold, and you get to have as much gold as you want. You can turn into Mr. T up here mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally, financially. You have the ability to acquire more and 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 more every single day because you are making the decision. You are the CEO of Me Incorporated, and you have the executive function, which is the CEO of your brain running your life. You are a bad mofo. I will be back tomorrow. Higher power, God and the universe willing. Same time, same place, same face, different t-shirt. Y'all have a great rest of your day. Adios. And